So let's talk about winter bait choice. Now, 3 baits I go for, mainly 2 though. First one, first and foremost, sweet corn. Why? Well, because look at that. Look at the visibility of it. I've added a little bit of Scope X, and you can see why, because not only it gives it that extra scent, but look at the colour of it now. It really brightens corn up. This is why it's so effective. Water's clear. Fish can follow it down onto the bottom, but they can visibly see it on the bottom. All I'll say is when it comes to choosing the right corn, pick a brand that you're happy with, that looks uniformed in size, and buy a few tins of it, because batches change. I'm very, very meticulous when it comes to buying the right corn. And it's really important that I try to get corn. You'll never get all the grains the same size, you know, you'll never get them all uniform, but look for corn that has big grains, and that gives you that uniformity when it comes to feeding. Especially, let's say I'm fishing 22 meters today, I want that corn to get there, even if the wind changes direction, and I want it to group reasonably tight, but yet at the same time I want it to make that lovely pinging noise on the surface. Now, the reason why I love corn is because it's water soluble, and what I mean by that is the metabolism of the fish is dropping now as the water temperature is massively cooling. It's only like 6-7 degrees at the moment in the water. Luckily it's a nice warm day today, but with the weather we've had recently, it's really cold, that water. The beauty about sweet corn is everything loves it, but it's easy for them to digest and break down. Therefore, it holds fish in you a longer period of time, and it catches everything that swims. So it helps you, the angler, to read what fish are present in your peg. The other bait is bread. Now, there's a lot more to bread than meets the eye. There we go. Warburton's slice, there we go. My favourite bread of all time. I think most anglers use this now for that reason, and it's just the right size to get into your punch tray. 8 and 6 mil punches are my favourite sizes for bread, for bomb fishing, for carp and F1s. Yes, you put discs of bread on a hair rig, you chuck it out, and immediately people are thinking, well, he's fishing bread, he's fishing it popped up. No, you're not all the time, especially if you just use the average slice of bread. Of course, bread has that imprint that you're putting it on a hair, you're chucking it out, and it's sitting there off the bottom, floating around for fish swimming half depth to grab it. Not often is that case, and what I mean by that is you go home, you test the bread in the water, it floats, great, but once you've put it on a hair, you've punched the discs out, you've put it on a hair, you've then casted 20 meters, now the bomb hits the surface, it pulls the bread through the water, it's pushing all the air out of the bread, the bomb hits the bottom and the bread carries on sinking. That is nearly the case every single time, unless you use a bit of crust to create that buoyancy. But why bread is so effective, in my opinion, is the colour of it. Again, very bright in colour like corn, but the texture of it, again, like corn, breaks down quick, but even more so with bread. You can imagine it swells up onto the hair, expanding. Minimal effort for a fish to suck that bait in because it's so light and soft and buoyant. But once it's entered into the fish's mouth, it breaks off the hair very quickly. The hook drops and you get a very, very clean hook hole with bread. And this is why it's very rare, unless you're unlucky to foul hook a fish with the bread, that you lose fish with the bread, simply because of that principle that it breaks off the hair quick and it gives you that ultimate hook hold. Now, when it comes to starting your session, I will always, especially in match conditions, start with bread because of that effort, minimal effort for fish to suck in that bait. But of course, at the start of your session or your match, that could be the only time in the day where you might have some big carp in front of you that aren't spooked, and then all of a sudden you chuck your bomb out, first cast you get a 10-pound carp, and once that disturbance starts taking place with all those bombs, especially in match conditions going in, and bombs and feeders going in, the bigger fish, the wiser fish back away and you don't see him again. So always make the most of the first half hour of your pleasure session or your match by starting with bread, and you could catch the fish of your lifetime and a match winning fish first casting with a bread. Pellets. Now, of course, we all know pellets, but this is the time of the year we have to be very careful with pellets. Water temperature is low, metabolism of the fish is very low, they can't digest as much food, so be very frugal with how many pellets you actually feed. But if it's a nice warm day, the water temperature's risen, Pellets make that extra noise. You can feed them and group them a little bit tighter, and of course fish them a little bit further out. They can be very selective and very effective. So 6 and 8 mil pellets are my choice during the winter, but I want to be very careful when I use pellets, but always have them in your bait armory just in case. So there are my 3 baits for winter bomb fishing on all commercials.